All right. Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Dylan and Scott are.
He was teasing me. I'm just being dumb.
It's Friday.
It's Friday.
We're
It's
at
where
that
the
point.
vibes are good today.
Yeah, it's all right. I forgive you. It's fine.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks,
It's
Scott.
gonna be a good weekend.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
gonna be a nice day to start today. The weekend.
Well, yeah, it
Start
is.
the weekend. It's chilly to start the day.
It's
but-
Right
chilly
now,
again.
but-
It's just cold. It sucks. But do you have
All
a bunch
right.
of things to say first?
Yes. Hold that thought.
Yeah, hold
you're
the
like,
thought.
You're like, I
Hold
don't want
it.
to say too much because this is the time that we remind you that we are on Facebook every weekday morning from 8 to 9. You can, of course, watch us anytime later in the day on your feed. We're also on the InForum YouTube channel, and we make this into a podcast a little bit later in the morning as well. So you can go to inforum.com/podcast and look for the InForum Minute. And
That's right.
we live on forever there as well. All right.
Exactly.
On to the weekend forecast.
Yeah, so it's chilly out there today. This morning we have a little bit of fog in spots once again. So that will be moving on out like it did yesterday. Some spots take a little bit longer than others.
Okay.
But single digits, couple spots close to 0 or below 0. Most spots are above 0 though this morning. So I guess a little bit warmer than earlier on this week. Warming up to about 30 though. 33 degrees is our forecast high in Fargo, and a lot of 30s across the region.
That's
which
gonna
will
feel nice.
Yeah,
it
it
is.
will.
We're gonna have a lot of sunshine too. With the sun angle, it might almost be short season.
It's gonna.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Well-
but for some people, probably.
For some people, probably. You'll probably see some people out in shorts just because it's going to be 33 degrees in March at the
You
end
can't
of the
wear
month.
flip flops though, so it'll be slushy and
No,
messy.
exactly. I get
Yeah.
your toes a little wet. But it's going to be a nice day. South breeze about 5 to 15 miles per hour. So really, probably the pick day of the weekend is probably today.
Okay.
Tomorrow, similar day, just cloudy, and then the wind switches to the northwest. And then Sunday, a little bit cooler, temperatures back in the 20s.
All right.
And this weekend, it sounds really nice. But in reality, our average high today is 41 degrees.
That'd be nice to have that.
Wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, last time we had 40, of course, was November 9th. So we can dream on.
Yeah, we're getting up there on that rank of the.
We are now second, all alone. We're on number 2 of that all-time rank of 40-degree temperatures and not hitting 40 degrees, basically. So we haven't hit 40 degrees since...
We're winning for losing.
Yes, we are winning,
Yeah.
but we're losing. Exactly. Yes. So we are currently second all-time, the longest streak without hitting 40. And that looks to continue through the weekend, and it'll probably continue through most of next week. So
Okay.
we don't have any big warm-up in the forecast. A few flurries, I guess, are possible tomorrow. That is in the forecast I did miss, but it's nothing significant. Most of the day it'll just be cloudy.
Okay.
Chance of light snow Wednesday, and then next week, late next week, you might have heard Facebook hype or social media hype. Don't listen to that. Yes, we're watching a potential storm, but these things move a lot, so we'll continue to keep an eye on it as we get closer to the end of next week. But for
All right.
now, enjoy the day today. A lot
All
of
right.
melting gonna happen, so
Yeah.
good stuff.
It's Friday and
It
it's
is.
nice.
Yeah.
It's just
It is
win-win.
perfect way to go into the
And
weekend.
before we let you go, you were talking a lot this morning about the spring flood outlook.
Yes.
Do you have any update there for us?
Yeah, so Fargo now has a 90% chance of major flooding. Grand Forks has a 50%, 90% chance of moderate flooding, 50% chance, less than 50% chance of major flooding. And what that means is Fargo, 90% chance of major flooding sounds terrifying. And it is a thing we have to take seriously, but it's only up to 30 feet. We don't have to get super worried in town in Fargo until 38 feet. And there's only a 5% chance of that happening
Okay.
this spring. So a lot of factors that still go into that. Grand Forks, there's a 90% chance of moderate, which is the rank below major. You have to start worrying about Grand Forks about mid 50 feet. That's when we have to start worrying there. Right now the forecast is in the middle 40s to upper 40s. So
Okay.
we'll continue to keep track of that, but there's things that go into that, such as how quick does the snow melt?
So we don't want 80 degrees
No.
tomorrow.
No, that'd be bad.
I mean, for flooding, that's
Yeah,
not.
exactly. Yeah, flooding would be really bad. So we want, a slow melt. We currently have about 20 inches of snow on the ground right now. That's a lot of snow to melt. I know we've done, melting this week, which is the sun angle, but that's not the big melts. We have to have a good week with temperatures in the 30s and overnight lows that are not in the single digits. Because what happens is we start melting, then it freezes back up overnight. And then, of course, when the next day, it has to unmelt all that frozen stuff and go again. So we're melting a little bit, but this really is not the
I
big
like that, the
melts.
slow freeze thaw.
Yes, yes.
And we do not want
Rain. Or we don't want any more wet snow. A little bit of light, fluffy snow won't really hurt us because the moisture content is so low. We don't want rain. Of course, rain on top of snow, it runs off very quick. And if we're later on in the melting, so we hardly have any snow on the ground, well then, of course, the snow is all gone. It's going to the river, so we don't want a big rainstorm then either. That's what happened last year, if you remember. We actually had winter was fine, the flood outlook was looking okay, but then we just got dumped on it with rain in April. And I know I remember that. It impacted some spots along the red. So We'll continue to track that though right now. Just continue to monitor the forecast, go with it.
Sure.
And one thing to think about, 97 and 09, of course, big flood years. Everyone think those are the two historic ones around here. The falls before that, so the fall of 96 and the fall of 08, were both very, very wet. Like we were talking about, like this is a anomaly. Like November was a very wet month for both of those years.
Okay.
But this year, we went into winter with a drought. We were in a moderate drought. It's a drought classification of 3 out of 5. So we don't have that extra moisture that's sitting there ready to be released.
Okay.
So we just have to worry about the snow, which is certainly helping our flood outlook. That's something that we take into consideration too. So just to keep you updated as we get closer towards the melting weather, whenever it comes.
And of course, that was a lot of numbers. If you
That
want to take a
was.
look again, InForum.com, we have a great breakdown there, and you kind of see the graphs,
Yeah.
and wherever you live, because we kind of run through some of the big cities, but it
Yep.
covers a lot more, Fargo, Grand Forks, Harwood. So a great resource as well,
Yes, exactly. Good
InForum.com.
point.
All right, Dylan, thank you.
Yep.
All right, another big story that we're tracking for you this morning. A mom is waking up in jail this morning, and she's accused of child endangerment. This is a really scary story. A Nelson County sheriff is now telling us that he found that woman passed out on drugs with her 3 kids in the car. 28-year-old Charmaine Williams is facing drug and child endangerment charges. The sheriff says he was called out Tuesday morning to check on an erratic driver. He was called out to Petersburg, right in front of the post office there. If you're not familiar, that's on Highway 2, about an hour west of Grand Forks. When the sheriff got there, he found Williams passed out in the car with her marijuana, cocaine, meth, some of it which was packaged for sale. But the scary part is he also found her 3 young children in the car, and they were ages 2, 7, and 8. So we'll continue tracking that story for you.
All right, new this morning, a Bemidji woman has been found guilty of second-degree murder for fatally shooting her brother-in-law outside of his house. It's the latest in a story that we've been tracking for you since 2020, when Janelle Johnson fatally shot 48-year-old Jesse Ferris. Johnson had went over to Ferris's home to confront him over alleged domestic abuse between him and Johnson's sister. The argument escalated, became physical. That's when Johnson then shot Ferris. Now, recently, fast forward, the jury found Johnson guilty after nearly a 2-week trial. She is set to be sentenced at the end of May.
New this morning, we have an update on a story that we broke for you last night at 10 here on WDAY. We now know when an Eddy County farmer is set to plead guilty in a hunting case where a video of the encounter went viral. You probably remember hearing it, very loud words. A lot of the words had to be bleeped
on
out
TV.
for sure. It happened back in October near New Rockford. The man was seen yelling at the group of waterfowl hunters. His name is Jeffrey Ehrman. He says he felt the group was too close to his property line. We do know now that Ehrman is set to plead guilty on Monday for disorderly conduct and interference with rights of hunters. Now, this is through a plea deal, which still has to be approved by the judge, but if it is approved, Ehrman will avoid jail time if he stays out of trouble for a year, and will have to make a $250 donation to the state's poaching program. A lot of people are asking under the plea deal, however, he will not lose any hunting or gun ownership privileges.
Some West Fargo parents are going to have to find a different way to get their kids to school. That's because 4 bus routes are being temporarily suspended. Parents got an email from the school telling them that some of the bus routes would be cut for the whole next week of school, so that's starting on Monday through Friday. Those temporary cancellations are actually something that the school district has been doing since January. It is one of just many ways they're being forced to adjust amid the widespread bus driver shortage and that worker shortage impacting so many industries. So
Right. We
the
know
bus
that's a
driver is one of
problem,
them.
but you also have to feel for the families because it's very hard. And I'm
Yeah.
hearing from so many friends
It's
in the
tough.
area. Yeah. Okay, this is a cool story.
Yeah, it is.
4th graders from Longville Elementary in Fargo will be making a special visit to students at Madison Elementary. Over the past few weeks, those 4th graders have collected nearly 1,000 books in their Share the Love of Reading book drive. Now they're going to deliver those books to their friends over at Madison. They're going to go door to door, drop them off. They're also going to spend a little time maybe reading some of those books in each
Yeah.
of the classrooms. The students at Madison can then take their books home, leave them at school, whatever they would like to do.
Yeah, super cool. It's a fun story to see
Yes.
the young kids kind of giving back to some other peers. All right, get your cowboy hats, your boots. The rodeo is coming to town today and tomorrow. The PRCA Championship Rodeo. It's going to be taking place in Fargo at the Fargodome. It's going to be a fun event. Both nights, the action all starts at 7:30, but the doors open at 6:30, so you can get in there early, get a snack, find your seat, check things out. And the tickets are going to range from about $20 to $45 to get in there. You can find those tickets on the Fargodome's website. or you can just buy them at the door when you show up.
Even Bethany Newquist, our reporter on First News, had her boots on
Yeah,
this morning,
she did.
so she had a ton of fun out there. So
that was cool.
It's gonna be good stuff. A breaking story from eastern Syria overnight. That's where the U.S. launched an airstrike against an Iranian military group that it blames for another airstrike on them yesterday. That drone strike killed one U.S. contractor and hurt 6 others, including 5 military service members. And the U.S. is now saying this wasn't the first time. It says Iranian drones have attacked U.S. targets nearly 80 times in Syria. Pentagon says that this all happened around midnight. It retaliated. A precision strike group from the U.S. in Syria hit several spots used by a group affiliated with Iran's national group, a group that counts casualties in Syria. Thinks between 6 and 8 Iranian fighters were killed in these new attacks.
All right, we've heard a lot of speculation this week surrounding former President Donald Trump, a potential arrest, potential unrest and protests in the wake of that, but that has not happened yet, and it is not expected to happen this week if it does happen at all. That Manhattan grand jury hearing the evidence in the hush money case against Donald Trump will not be meeting this week after all. That's according to 2 sources that are familiar with the matter. That grand jury is now expected to reconvene on Monday, so we'll pick up the saga from there.
All right, and the stage is set now for the championship game at Shields Arena in Fargo. Of course, we've been talking about the big NCAA West Regional Tournament that started yesterday in Fargo. Maybe you went to bed early. The Gophers won last night.
Yeah,
If you went to bed
exciting.
early, you didn't know because a lot happened in the end. And they're going to be taking on the St. Cloud State Huskies. The championship game is tomorrow at 6:30, and whoever wins will advance to the Frozen Four, which will be in Tampa in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Frozen Four always a big event, and of course, it's cool to have one of those games that leads up
Yes.
to it here in Fargo.
And of course, Dom Izzo is going to be talking about that game, talking about the Gophers and all that good stuff today on Hot Mic from 9 to 11 on WDAY Extra, also on InForum.com.
Yeah, and speaking of InForum.com, you can get a great deal right now to subscribe to all the content we offer on there for just 99 cents a month. For your first 3 months, you can get an all-access pass to InForum.com. That's a lot of local news, weather, sports stories. Just go to InForum.com/subscribe to get that deal.
Remember, we have another newscast coming up for you here in just a couple hours, an hour-long newscast. And then this afternoon, we start again at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. We'll get you ready for the weekend.
Yeah, and enjoy your nice Friday, and have a good weekend, folks. Stay safe. Have a good day.